Do you like space stuff? What about political espionage? Then why aren't you watching Star Wars Andor? Rogue One was critically acclaimed, fan approved, and made bank. So naturally, the spin-off prequel show was going to be a massive hit, right? Right? Rogue One was the best Star Wars movie. If you don't agree with that statement, then you are entitled to your wrong opinion. Get well soon. It was gritty, different from the somewhat goofy Star Wars of our childhoods, and really well made. This movie managed to make me feel the stakes of the Rebellion's mission, despite knowing full well that those Death Star plans would make it safely to Leia in the end. It also retconned a plot hole in the original trilogy. The fact that the bad guys just left a big ass literal hole in their defences where Luke could use a combination of the Force and pew-pews to take the whole thing down. Turns out that Jyn Erso's pops left a gap in the defences on purpose when he designed it so that the rebels could defeat the Empire. I know some fans aren't happy with the idea of any retconning being done in this franchise at all. Star Wars fans upset? Yeah, I was shocked too. But this wee Scottish fangirl loves new content that expands upon the known universe and gives us deeper meaning to the moments we already love, so when the prequel TV series was announced, I was hyped. As a kid watching Star Wars, I didn't need backstory. I didn't need to know the complexities of the war in question. I knew that I was rooting for the good guys, that lightsabers, spaceships and droids were cool, and that I wanted all of the toys immediately. I grew up thinking the stormtroopers were robots for some reason. I thought these guys were like the prototype bots for the future troopers, so I was absolutely horrified by the reveal of Finn with his helmet off in the trailer for The Force Awakens. I had been rooting for these armour-clad people to be killed and blown up, and they were all real people, slaves to the Empire with no real choice but to serve, being slaughtered. The fact that war is hell totally passed me by as a youngster, and that is probably a good thing. Now, as a sort of grown-up, I crave nuanced backstories and intricacies of these universes. Don't get me wrong though, I'm still 100% there for silly puppets and droids and stories about fun adventures with no real grander impact on an overarching narrative too. Franchises like Star Wars have the scope and space to service multiple levels of fans all at once. Cartoons for kids, animated shows that fill in the time between the prequels and the sequels, spin-off shows providing good solid family viewing fun, and gritty dramas. There's been a lot of negativity about this franchise, but they are killing the multi-level approach to the needs of fans the way I think other franchises have struggled with in recent memory. I'd given up on Star Wars. The Last Jedi broke me. Mandalorian drew me back in. Obi-Wan was a fun, nostalgic jaunt but far from brilliant. And Andor absolutely body slammed me back into not only loving this universe but actually respecting it. From the very off, Andor establishes itself as grown-up Star Wars. It opens with the main character visiting a brothel. Just to gather information though, he's not paying for anything in there, but I'm still pretty sure this is the first acknowledgement that SEX even exists in the Star Wars universe. I love shows like The Mandalorian. You can watch it with your family, everyone from your grandma right down to your baby cousin can get something out of that show. But Andor is just for people who pay taxes and probably have back pain.
I've fallen, and I can't get up!
The story focuses on the escapades of Cassian Andor before he joins the rebellion. We see flashbacks to his childhood on the mining planet Canary, which gets totally decimated by the Empire and everyone there seemingly killed. Cassian is saved by Aunt Petunia, raised on the planet Ferrix, and has never given up hope that his sister somehow made it out like he did. During the flashbacks on Canary, we aren't given any subtitles. It's a bold choice which A, made me check that my Disney Plus was working correctly, and B, appreciate the opportunity to just enjoy how good the young actress managed to get everything across without explicitly telling us. In addition to the great Diego Luna in the titular role, we get the legends Fiona Shaw, Andy Serkis, Papa Skarsgård, and Forrest Whitaker, not to mention Crab Andor Goyle. But it's Denise Gough and Kyle Soller who really stole the show for me. They play two cogs in the machine that keeps the autocratic empire going and who seem to be on completely opposite career trajectories before they meet. Despite being the bad guys, I found myself somehow rooting for them. I wanted Miro to succeed, even though that would have meant the end of the show. Both characters are ambitious, and that particular brand of evil who 100% believes they are in the right and inherently just better than everyone else. Delicious. I'll take lots more of them in season 2, please. There's not a single dud on this show. Everyone from the headliners all the way down to the townspeople who get like a minute of screen time absolutely shine. Side note, there's a whole lot of Scottish people in space. It's good to see that my people made it into space a long time ago in a galaxy far away. While we're talking about the cast, I have to talk about 69-year-old Chris Fairbank. He's one of these British actors everyone knows when they see him, but maybe not by name. He was in the original Batman movie, The Fifth Element, Doctor Who, Guardians of the Galaxy, he's done video game voice work, not to mention countless UK TV shows going all the way back to the 70s, and now he's a part of the Star Wars universe. What a legend. The world building here is some of the best I've seen in recent science fiction. From the ringing of the morning bell on Ferrix, to the masses of Empire workers on their morning commute on Coruscant, it all feels like a functioning universe, like a film crew could have just been dropped at this real life place and just started rolling. Yes, the CGI is noticeable in parts, but suspension of disbelief is very easily done here. Thomas Flight has a great video where he discusses why Andor feels so real. I'll link to it below. That all sounds great, right? High quality, well made and believable science fiction set within one of the biggest franchises of all time? A Star Wars property should be a hit no matter what. The inbuilt fandom is huge, but apparently nobody watched Andor. Could it all be a case of fandom burnout? There's a lot of space fighting content out there for the fandom to put in their eyeballs, and maybe everyone is just a little bit tired of it all. Maybe a prequel of a prequel was just a step too far for some people. According to Den of Geek, ratings were actually pretty good, but not Star Wars Kenobi levels good. But it's hard to tell because streaming services are very secretive about their viewing numbers. Looking at Google Trends, people didn't seem to be searching for Andor in the same way they were the Obi-Wan show, but there seems to be more interest for the adventures of Cassian than there were for the Book of Boba Fett. Well, what does that tell us exactly? Nothing really, I just thought that it was interesting. In an article with Variety, showrunner Tony Gilroy stated that he had expected a large audience of Star Wars fans to watch the show, but that the feedback he was getting was mostly from out with the fandom, strangely, and that the show was still chasing its audience, which I think confirms that the ratings were not amazing. Was this show needed? No, nobody asked for this show, and yet it ended up being something really special. A show about how the cool pilot guy from Rogue One became a rebel? No thanks. But it's not really about that. Despite Cassian Andor being the titular character, the show is the birth of the rebellion, not in some grand congregation of Leia and co, but in all the small ways that really matter. You see the rebellion from both sides and at every level. There's a wonderful moment where two fishermen catch Andor and his companion. They could turn them in for a reward, but ultimately decide to not only let them go, but to help them, because the Empire ruined the fishing water that provides their livelihood. These guys, whose names you wouldn't know unless you check the end credits, are a vital part of the jigsaw that makes up the plot to the original trilogy. Without their actions, Cassian isn't there to help get those plans to Leia, and maybe things don't work out for the rebels. No superpowered Jedi Master saves the day in this story. It's just a collection of ordinary people who band together and do their part to take on a fascist regime. It's beautiful and it's hopeful. I can't wait to see what happens in season 2. Is Cassian's sister still alive? How long can Mon Mothma keep up her double life? Will these two hook up? Probably, and it is for sure going to be weird and intense. I think Andor struck the perfect balance between new story, fan service, and nostalgia for the originals without going too far into the territory of nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. I'm looking at you, Book of Boba Fett. This is exactly what Star Wars should be doing, taking their toys and playing in that sandbox, but also making it a brand new story. But those are just my thoughts on the matter. Feel free to tell me yours in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.